If you're thinking about relocating to Charlotte, you need to know the bad. You need to know the worst things about living here. So I reached out to several clients who relocated to Charlotte to find out what they least like about living here, what they warn someone about who's considering a move to Charlotte. Some of the answers were on the nose, some I was surprised by. Let's jump in. So this one surprised me. So even though a lot of people brought up commuting, funny enough, no one mentioned anything about traffic or commute times. But if you are curious about the commute times in Charlotte, according to the Census Bureau, the average commute time in Charlotte is around 25 minutes. Pre-COVID in 2019, it was 26 minutes. So there's not too much of a difference. So one thing a lot of people brought up is that we are very car dependent here in Charlotte. Sadly, our public transportation system falls really short, especially if you plan to use it for commuting to work. Now, we do have a light rail system, but it's really only interconnected to the main hubs of the city. So it's not going to be like the metro in DC that's going to run through the neighboring suburbs. And I think that's a big reason why not a lot of people utilize it. And I had some clients bring up some interesting points about taking light rail to work. So one client said that she stopped taking it because the timing was so inconsistent, she could never get to work on time. Another client said he did not have that problem, but it does get really packed during peak rush hour and there are a lot of stops. But he'd rather take light rail to work than pay for parking uptown, which is another topic a lot of people brought up. So if you work uptown, which a lot of people will be, you will need to pay for parking. And not many employers are going to pay for your parking spot, and sadly, free parking does not exist uptown. So right now, parking is going to be about $145 a month. So keep that in mind when you're negotiating your salary. So next up is the humidity. So we are in the South once again, so we get that hot, intense southern heat. And it's not just the temperature, it's going to be the humidity. I came here from Miami, so the summers for me were nothing, but my clients and friends from up north and out west will probably tell you something different. And if you've never lived in a state with high humidity, prepare for wanting to shower twice a day, high electric bills in the summer, and if you have naturally curly hair, best of luck to you. Another thing that might be different is if you're a very active or outdoorsy person. So if you like running or playing tennis, most of our outdoor activities will take place in the early morning or in the late afternoon. The quality of air just makes it really hard to breathe when it gets super hot and humid. But on the plus side, because of our hot summers, a lot of neighborhoods will have community pools. We also have some fabulous lakes that are great retreats from the heat. And by far the best thing to do in summer during the summer months is go to the mountains. So a lot of people will take that hour and 45-minute drive to get that really cool mountain air or lounge by the mountain lakes. There really is a huge difference between temperatures, so it's really just a great retreat that a lot of people take advantage of. So tourism. So a couple people brought this up, and I have never thought of this before, but I thought it was such a good point. So we are not a tourist destination. We don't have any famous historical landmarks. We don't have any natural attractions like a beach or a mountain. Those you're gonna find here are skyscrapers. So I have an Airbnb, and I would say that 90% of my guests come here for business or to visit family or for sports. We do have a lot of people come here for sports, but that's really it. Honestly, we are not a global or even a regional hotspot for tourism. But if I'm being honest, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So Charlotte is the hub of industry and finance. So as a city, our focus really lies in the quality of life. And I really do mean that. We are constantly rated as the top places to live in America. We just came in at number 5 in the US News and World Report's best places to live list. We ranked number 7 on Zillow's hottest market predictions of 2024 and number 1 in a new national survey for best places to move to. Almost every time I have friends and family visit me from out of state, they end up wanting to move here. And usually once I have one client relocate here, it's like a domino effect, and their friends and their family come and they end up relocating here. I mean, that's how I ended up in Charlotte. So while we're not like Asheville or Charleston in terms of being a vacation destination, we are a really great place to live. So I think our appeal just lies in a different area. But now let's get back to the negatives. So my absolute least favorite topic, bugs. So being in the South, we have a lot of bugs. Now, personally, I don't think we're as bad as other southern states, but definitely worse than up north and out west. Definitely bad enough that I stay on a regular pest control schedule, and if you hate bugs, I encourage you to too. So a lot of my clients said they feel like mosquitoes are the worst. Companies that will come out and do mosquito treatments before summer. You can also avoid them by making sure there's no standing water near your house and planting certain plants like lavender and rosemary. That surprisingly worked really well for me. Now the other bug I am so glad a client brought up are the carpenter bees. I totally forgot about these annoying little guys. They are the worst. They are these adorable chubby little bees that will wreck your wood. They will bore huge holes into wooden decks, fences, anything with wood, and they are not easy to get rid of. I eventually got rid of mine, but it took a long time and a ruined deck post. So be on the lookout. The second you notice these holes, call your pest control company. Also be prepared for ticks, stink bugs, fire ants, and termites. Termites are absolutely the worst. Make sure you get a termite inspection when you buy your house. I know 2 homes who had to be condemned due to termite damage. Oh, and the palmetto bug. If you are from up north or out west, these guys will freak you out. They are gigantic roaches that fly. The first time I saw one of these guys, I about moved out of the state. I am not a fan. Luckily, they are not common in your house, or I would probably move out of the South. So the pollen, it can be brutal. So Charlotte experiences a significant pollen season primarily in the spring months. The air is going to be filled with yellow pollen, and it's going to create this dust that covers everything from cars, roads, outdoor furniture. Every surface is going to be covered. It can be really annoying, especially if you don't have a garage. Your car's going to be covered with pollen. You would have to wash your car every single day just to avoid it being covered. It's especially bad if you have allergies. So a lot of people will start preemptively taking allergy medicine prior to pollen season to get their body prepared. Air purifiers are also going to be your best friend, and luckily the local weather station does provide a daily pollen count, so you can try and avoid being outside on high pollen days. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Milena. I'm a local Charlotte realtor. I work with people all over the country, all over the world even, who are looking to buy a house or sell a house in the Charlotte area. If you're thinking about making a move, please don't hesitate to reach out. All my info is right below in the description. And if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Also leave a comment if you're from Charlotte and you want to let people know what they should know about living here. The lack of walkability was another topic that a lot of people brought up, but I do want to define what people mean when they say that Charlotte isn't walkable, because I think that can be misleading without context. So if you're relating walkability to cities like New York or Boston in terms of convenience, like being able to walk to the grocery stores and restaurants, we only have a handful of neighborhoods like that in Charlotte. Most of these neighborhoods are going to be around uptown, and we're also going to have a few of our suburban towns that will have really cute walkable downtowns. But overall, these areas are not going to be very widespread, and a lot of them are going to come with a more premium price tag. But on the other hand, a lot of our neighborhoods are walkable when you relate it to being able to be out and about and be active. So overall, our terrain here in Charlotte is pretty flat. We also have pretty great weather most of the year. So you're going to see people out all the time, jogging, walking, riding their bikes in most of our residential areas. A lot of our neighborhoods are even going to have private or public walking trails. And you're of course going to have the greenways. These are going to be nature trails that go through a lot of our residential neighborhoods. They are all over our city. They're really cool. They're going to have nature preserves. Some have parks. Some will have little workout stations. So they are really popular here in Charlotte. I have clients buy houses all of the time solely because they're by the greenway. And luckily we have so many that it's not hard to find a house near one. So overall, we are walkable, but just maybe in a different context. So this next one's kind of funny. So a lot of people brought up the fact that we have entirely too many breweries. So when the brewery scene amped up in America, we really did run with it here in Charlotte. So I do agree, we are a little bit oversaturated. One of our newest breweries is even called Another Brewery. But I will say, because there's so many, when a new one opens up, they really do have to be competitive, not just in their product, but also in bringing something different. So most of them are going to be pretty cool. A lot of them will have fun outdoor spaces. Some even have really over-the-top events. Like Highwire Brewing is my favorite. I'm not even a beer person. I just love their events. So they'll have burlesque aerial shows. They have drag shows, they have rap and wrestling. It's just really fun and people love their beer, so check them out if you're in Charlotte. I also think the reason that breweries are so popular is because they appeal to a wide range of people. So it doesn't matter if you're single, if you have kids, everyone here goes to breweries. Even if you're not a big drinker, a lot of them have great food, they have excellent games. They just do a really good job at appealing to everyone. Next up, if you don't like dogs, you might not love it here. Now, personally, I'm a huge dog and animal person. I have 2 sweet rescues that completely rule my life, but I absolutely understand some people may have allergies or be fearful of dogs. That's totally okay. But be prepared, we are a pretty dog-friendly city. So most, if not all of our breweries are gonna be very dog-friendly. And even though dogs aren't allowed inside places that serve food, they're usually allowed outside. We have a lot of alfresco dining here in Charlotte. So you're gonna see people out constantly with their pups. And even though some HOAs will have breed restrictions or limits to how many pets you have, to my knowledge, no community or neighborhood in Charlotte fully prohibits house pets. So another topic that got brought up a lot was the construction, specifically when it comes to sewer and water lines. So Charlotte Water is undertaking a massive project to enhance the outdated sewer and water lines, which is all of our sewer and water lines for the most part. And this is great, but this project means serious road closures and detours. So the city's working in sections and they go road by road. And it can take weeks, sometimes up to months for them to finish just one road. And I know that I've mentioned this before in other videos, but it really is worth reiterating just how much construction impacts our day-to-day life. Even if you know the city like the back of your hand, you will still want to take Google Maps to try and avoid construction delays. And even that's not always going to help you. Now, commercial construction is definitely going to be more concentrated closer to the city. But even still, since we are growing outwards, you will still find a lot of new commercial construction in the neighboring suburban towns, especially when it comes to the road and utility infrastructure. So next up is power lines. So depending on what region you're coming from, you might not be using above ground power lines in residential neighborhoods. Since so many neighborhoods in Charlotte are older, above ground power lines are very common here. So you will often see power lines running through people's front and backyards. Clearly they are a bit of an eyesore, and unfortunately it's just too big of a job and too costly of a job for our power company to bury the lines. However, they do have a program where they will bury a line if it is outage prone. They also do a pretty good job at trimming trees that are along the power lines, even if the tree's on a private residential property. But even still, if you rather avoid them altogether, that is definitely possible. So over the last several years, it's become more of a common practice in a lot of the newer developments to install the lines underground. So this one got brought up a lot, so the happy hour ban. So North Carolina, we are an ABC state, meaning that the state's going to control the sale of alcohol, and that extends to bars and restaurants. So we're not as strict as states like Utah or Pennsylvania, but we do have some quirky laws. So for one, you can't buy liquor from grocery stores. You also can't buy liquor on Sundays unless it's from a restaurant or a bar. So you are safe to brunch with cocktails. But by far the weirdest law to most people is our happy hour ban. So the ban started in the 80s as an effort to cut down on drinking and driving, and we have lived without happy hour ever since. Now businesses can have food happy hours, and they can offer all-day drink specials. Like they can't offer $5 mojitos from 5 to 7, but they can do $5 mojitos every Monday. Now, as of late 2023, there was a bill introduced changing a lot of these antiquated alcohol-related laws, and the happy hour ban is one of them. It's unclear if it will pass, but hopefully we'll know something here in the near future. This next one is my personal annoyance here in Charlotte. So it has become increasingly harder to find contractors or tradespeople. And it's not just about finding them, it's also about their availability and pricing. So even something as simple as getting a plumber or an electrician to come out has become a mission. And the issue's magnified when it's not a major job. So for example, an inspection punch list that used to cost my clients $500 now cost upwards of $800, and that's a real example. So with our population booming, there is a surge of new construction homes and remodels. So the cost of labor has understandably gone up a lot. And I actually have conversations with my buyers when they're buying an older home, prepare to become a little handy or prepare to spend a lot of money on basic handyman tasks. But if you are a contractor or a tradesperson, definitely come to Charlotte, take advantage of the opportunity cost. You will crush it here. So there you have it. I hope those negatives did not scare you away. Charlotte is an amazing city. The pros certainly outweigh the cons. Once again, my name is Milena. I'm a local Charlotte realtor. If you have any questions or if you're looking to buy a house or sell a house in the Charlotte area, please don't hesitate to reach out. All my information is down below, and I look forward to connecting.